So hi everyone, my name is Liz. I'm an Education Associate at JPAL Global. So before we get started, we just want to provide an example of a problem that JPAL works on and the kinds of issues we think about. So as you can see from this graph, primary school enrollment has grown significantly over the past 15 years. However, learning levels remain low. So some solutions to thinking about how to improve learning outcomes include textbooks, uniforms, computers, scholarships, training teachers, dividing classrooms by achievement levels. But as a policymaker, it's hard to choose between these solutions. So JPAL believes in using rigorous evaluations to help inform policy. So in this slide, you will see randomized evaluations done on the solutions mentioned in the previous slide in different contexts. They're then evaluated through a cost-effectiveness analysis. This particular analysis compares the impact on student learning per individual against the total cost of the program. And just to note, this is log scale, which is why it may look a little odd. And so by considering the effectiveness of different programs in different contexts, we can draw broader policy lessons. The previous slide showed that teaching at the right level is a cost-effective way to improve student outcomes. Using this insight from an evaluation done in India, policymakers in Chicago developed match education tutoring, which is this two-on-one math-focused tutoring to target student-specific levels of math knowledge. Many of the students in the program were several years behind in math and were not learning effectively in classroom settings. This program improved student math test scores by 0.2 to 0.3 standard deviations, or the equivalent to an extra 1 to 2 years of learning for a typical American high school student. And now I'll hand things off to Keesler, who will give an overview of JPAL as an organization.
Thanks, Liz. My name is Keesler. I work on the research team here at Global. So just briefly, JPAL's mission is to reduce poverty by ensuring that policy is informed by scientific evidence. And we work to achieve this by conducting research through rigorous impact evaluations, disseminating evidence on what works through policy outreach, and building the capacity of policymakers and practitioners to accurately consume and generate evidence on what works in poverty alleviation. So this slide is showing kind of our three main arms here at JPAL, research, policy, and training, and how they all kind of interact with each other, starting with the evaluations, and then policy outreach, and then capacity building. So we have 6 regional offices, plus the one here at JPAL Global. We are in North America, Latin America, Europe, Africa, South Asia, Southeast Asia, and all of these regional offices are based at one of the top academic institutions in the region. We will get into this later in the presentation, but all 7 of our offices have staff positions and are hiring throughout the year with a particular concerted effort from October to January. So within the JPAL network, we have conducted over 920 ongoing and completed evaluations across 81 countries. As shown here, you can see all of our JPAL projects by sector with the different colors. India is by far our oldest regional office, which is why there are so many projects being conducted there. But this kind of gives you a general overview of where we're working. And then JPAL is anchored by more than 172 affiliated professors from around the world who are united by their use of randomized evaluations in order to answer questions critical to poverty alleviation. Our professors work at 56 universities globally, and here on the slide you can see a preview of some of the universities that they're based at. So there are many types of impact evaluations, but I'm just going to now try to briefly go over the intuition of a randomized evaluation, which is the methodology that we use here at JPAL. So randomized evaluations are the most rigorous way to estimate the causal impact of a given program, and our affiliated professors specialize in them. For example, What distinguishes randomized evaluations from other non-randomized impact evaluations is that participation is determined randomly before the program begins. So this random assignment is the method used in clinical trials to determine who gets a drug versus who gets a placebo when testing the effectiveness of new drugs. So in this example on the slide, we're randomizing households. So the households are split into two groups. And then those who are randomly assigned to the treatment group are eligible to receive the intervention. And those who are randomly assigned to the control group are compared against those who are in the treatment group. And because members of both groups, the treatment and the control, do not differ systematically at the outset of the experiment, any difference that subsequently arises between them can be attributed to the treatment rather than to other factors. JPAL works in 10 broad sectors using this methodology. Each sector is led by co-chairs, which are affiliated professors who provide guidance on the sector's partnership activities, research agenda, and policy outreach. Our staff support new and ongoing research in these areas and synthesize policy lessons from the evidence base. Now I will turn it over to David, who will go over a real-life example of a randomized evaluation conducted by one of our affiliates.
Awesome. Thanks, Kiesler. So, hi, everyone. I'm David Alzate. I'm Policy Associate here at JPAL Global. So I know some of you have been joining in as we've continued through this call. I just hope that everyone can hear us properly. We wish we could make this more interactive, but it's hard when we can't see you face to face. But if anyone has any issues, hearing us or anything like that, please feel free to kind of speak out now. Like Kiesler said, I'm going to give you guys a case study about one of our political economy and governance evaluations, just to give you a sense of the type of work that the policy team at JPAL does at synthesizing evidence, but also a sense of the work that JPAL research generally is about. So this specific case has to do with combating corruption in Indonesia, and it was carried out by Ben Olken, and Ben Olken is one of JPAL's directors, but also a JPAL affiliated researcher. And we wanted to highlight this specific study because we thought it would generally show an interesting and innovative way at tackling a kind of big and more macro level question that is corruption by using a micro level randomized evaluation approach. So this study looks at a program called the Kecamatan Development Program in Indonesia, and the program consists of giving out about 15,000 villages $8,800 each for these villages to fund their own roads and infrastructure projects. The way this project works is that in order for villages to keep receiving the money in the future, villages had to hold open accountability meetings where the entire village could come to these meetings and agree on how the funds were being used and spent to build these roads. And the second component of this project had to do with there being a 4 percentage point probability of being audited by the central government. So in theory, there were these two accountability checks built into this program so that the use of these funds wouldn't be corrupted away. However, researchers found that corruption did account for 20 percentage points of missing expenditures in the funds for these projects. And this corruption can be categorized into two different components. The first is missing materials costs, which occurred when fewer supplies were used in the road than reported in the budget or when their prices were inflated. And the second was in the form of missing labor costs, which occurred when local officials did not pay village laborers as much as was stated on the project budget. So, first of all, before researchers tried to combat this corruption, they first had to measure it, right, to find that 20 percentage point figure. And the innovative way in which Ben Olken, in this case, measured corruption was to actually hire local engineering students and send them out into the roads themselves for these local engineering students to dig out samples of the roads and calculate in reality how much it costs to build these roads. And then corruption was defined as the difference between the actual cost of building these roads and the stated cost that each village claimed it cost them to build these roads. To try to combat this corruption, two different interventions were implemented and randomly assigned across 608 villages. The first was to increase the probability of the central government audit from 4% to 100%, And the second was a more bottom-up community participation intervention, which had to deal with sending out formal invitations to non-elite village members to these open village accountability meetings with the hope that village members would attend and would speak out against a corrupt use of these funds. Researchers then compared these two different strategies to see which was more effective. They found that the government audit strategy reduced missing expenditures by about 8 percentage points. And this happened even when the auditing agency itself was perceived as corrupt. And it's also worth mentioning that even though each audit cost about $500 to implement, because of the economic benefits that these audits brought, each village was about $245 better off as a result of these audits. Now, for the second strategy, the more bottom-up community monitoring strategy, this was less successful because it did not significantly reduce overall missing materials-based corruption, but it was successful in reducing wage-based corruption. And researchers think that this is the case because villagers themselves were employed as workers on these road projects, so they had more of a personal direct incentive to monitor wage-based corruption because it affected their paychecks. On the other hand, monitoring missing materials corruption was a much more diffused and difficult thing to do. And it's also worth pointing out that this bottom-up community monitoring strategy was only successful when elite capture was prevented in the process, that is, when invitations to these village meetings were not sent out by village elite members, but were rather sent out via local schools. So that was just a lot of information that I threw at all of you, and in this kind of dense and sometimes complicated case in political economy and governance. But that's just one example of the hundreds of evaluations, like Gisler was saying, that JPAL has from all over the world across all of our 10 sectors. A lot of these evaluations are actually scaled up nationally by governments and reach millions of people worldwide, particularly for the case of some of our health and education-based interventions. In health, it's a program called Deworm the World that some of you may have heard of, and in education, it's Teaching at the Right Level, which is now being scaled up across sub-Saharan Africa. In fact, over 400 million people have been reached by programs that were scaled up after being evaluated by JPAL-affiliated researchers. Now, that's a really big number, 400 million people. And the way in which we're able to accomplish this is by the amazing group of staff that work across all of JPAL's verticals. And here at this webinar today, we have people in this table presenting that come from across all of our verticals. I'm going to discuss a little bit about our policy and communications group, which is the group that I belong to, before handing this off. And what the policy group at JPAL does, in essence, is translate the research that is produced by our research team and our affiliates into broad policy lessons that can be synthesized into policy publications and other written materials, as you can see in the slide. We also work with governments, NGOs, and the private sector and try to identify new opportunities for research partnerships, and we also try to increase these actors' access to and understanding of the evidence base and make sure that new policies are always informed by the evidence that we have. Okay, I'm going to pass it back to Gisler now, who's going to talk about...
Okay, I'm going to talk about the research team, which is the team that I work on. So the research team contributes to JPAL's mission of evidence-based policy making by supporting the effort to produce policy-relevant research. So this slide is kind of showing you the different types of positions that we have in the research vertical, sort of delineating between the field research associate, the office research associate, and then we also have some global-based research positions. So for this first category, the field-based RA position, this is for those who are interested in getting experience implementing and running projects on the ground. So you're going to be developing surveys and managing teams of survey enumerators. The next one, the office kind of data desk RA, you're primarily working on analyzing the data that was collected from the field. So you're joining the project kind of towards the tail end. So you would be managing data sets and doing a lot of programming, particularly using Stata. These positions are often based at universities in the U.S., and they're really looking for someone who has a real passion for data analysis. And just a quick note, we generally do have more field than office-based RA positions around the world. Lastly, the global kind of office-based research position, which is the category that I'm in. We help kind of create research resources for our affiliates and other researchers. Public goods, we are supporting research transparency efforts, like with trial registration and data publication and replications. We also set research standards and protocols, and any other way that we can support our affiliates. And then quickly, for those of you who are thinking of applying to be a research associate, this is just a quick public plug for a resource that JPAL North America put together. It lives on our website. You can find the hyperlink there on the slide. And it answers a lot of these questions more in depth. It applies to both the field and office-based RA positions. So now I'm going to turn it over to Liz to talk more about the other teams.
Great, thanks, Keesler. So as I said earlier, I'm an associate on the education team. So the education team is one of the youngest teams at JPAL, and we work on supporting the MicroMasters program. It's a very exciting role because you're at the cutting edge of online and hybrid learning worldwide. It's a great role for people who like to think about access to education and are excited about ed tech. Something really unique about our team is that we're actually running a program. This isn't something that JPAL typically does, and as a result, this offers many opportunities to learn about product development, project management, marketing, analytics, etc. You also get to develop partnerships with universities and organizations around the world. There's been enormous interest from institutions since we started the MicroMasters program who would like to partner with us to leverage and disseminate the educational content we manage. Lastly, you're developing academic and graduate level content, so it's a great way to show off your economics and data skills and interact with top econ faculty on a regular basis. So next, I'll kind of talk about the inspiration for the MicroMasters. So we've seen, in the past 10 to 15 years, we've seen a dramatic shift in development economics towards more practical empirical research and rigorous evaluation methods. Parallel to this, the broader international development community has given much greater emphasis to evidence-based policy and results-based development, which understanding rigorous empirical work using microdata plays a central role. Given this shift, many existing development practitioners are looking for training opportunities to build their own skills and knowledge. So while there are schools and programs that do offer such rigorous programs, competition for spots is fierce, and the traditional admissions criteria restricts admissions. Lastly, at JPAL and MIT, we've been leaders in this shift, and given MIT's reputation for rigor and excellence and JPAL serving as a leader in RCTs, we believe we're well positioned to fill this need of practitioners well-trained in rigorous evaluation. And so we're doing this through the MicroMasters program in Data Economics and Development Policy, or DEDP. So our program consists of 5 online graduate level courses. So anyone can enroll in the course, that's free, and you pay to take an exam to earn a certificate. Once you earn all 5 certificates for each of the courses, you earn a credential we call the MicroMasters. Our courses cover topics in development economics, microecon, data analysis, and designing and running randomized evaluations. You can also apply your MicroMasters credential towards course credit at MIT through a new program we're calling the Blended Masters program. Applications for that actually just opened, so if you're interested in that, you should look at our website and find out details on the criteria you need to apply. So a little more about the MicroMasters program. So this program is really intended to reach everyone and anyone interested in these topics. So there are no formal prerequisites. Anyone can participate. These courses are also offer the same challenge as residential MIT classes, and they're very flexible. They're offered 3 times a year following the MIT semester schedule. And if you choose to pay to earn a certificate, you are charged based on your ability to pay. So you provide an income statement, and based on your income, you pay anywhere from $100 to $1,000. And just so some statistics about the MicroMasters program. So since we launched in February 2017, we've had 16,270 learners enroll in one of our courses from 198 countries. Of that number, we've had 2,047 pay to earn a certificate in the course, and 875 have actually earned a certificate. And of those 875, 119 learners have earned the full MicroMaster's credential. Next, I'll talk about the training group. So the training team's work can be divided into two buckets. One you can think about as in building our internal capacity, and activities related to that include our research staff training. Next, the second bucket is building the capacity of other organizations to do rigorous evaluations. So we do this through our executive education program, custom courses that we offer to other organizations, and our online courses. So first, I'll talk about our executive education program. So it's a week-long course covering topics from how to randomize, why you should randomize, to threat and analysis. It's designed for executives who may use evidence in their decision-making. And the training team's role really involves developing the course content, facilitating the discussion with course participants, and evaluating the effectiveness of the course afterwards by following up with the people who participated in the program. We also conduct a research staff training. So this is an internal capacity building program. It's a one-week training for new research staff focused on refining their technical skills. So there are sessions on data analysis like Stata, GitHub, et cetera, and improving understanding of randomized evaluations. The team's role in the staff training involves developing and reviewing content, delivering these sessions during the training, and similar to executive education, following up with participants after the program and 6 months afterwards to see how useful the content actually was. And next, I'll hand things off to our finance and operations team.
Thank you, Liz. My name is Hannah, and I'm part of the finance and operations group at JPAL Global. So what the finance and operations group does is really to manage the systems and processes that optimize JPAL's efficiency and capacity to carry out our mission. So we're really helping out with the day-to-day related to finance, administration, working on our subwards to ensure that the research that we're doing, the policy work that we're doing can indeed happen. So some of the things that our team focus are on managing the grants and subawards, financial sustainability, in addition to just, paying the bills day to day. We also help and contribute to planning events for our policy and training teams. Another big part of our work is in regards to human resources, so ensuring that we do indeed have inclusive human resources practices, supporting our recruitment, so events such as this, and then just really any other bucket that you can think of that would relate to the administrative and operational management of the office. So if you are someone who's interested in nonprofit management, you see that as a potential career you'd like to explore, this team would really be for you and something to explore. And now I'm passing it off to my colleague, Giovanna.
Hi, my name is Giovanna. I'm also on the finance and operations team as an administrative associate, and the type of jobs available at JPAL exist within these teams. If you are looking for an office-based research associate role, we minimum require a bachelor's degree and STATA or R skills, because you will need those to evaluate the data coming from a research evaluation. For field-based research associate roles, also looking for a bachelor's degree and some experience doing field research. And for manager-level positions, we require a master's degree and work experience. On the policy and communications team, if you're looking for an associate or senior associate role, it would also require a bachelor's degree and 0 to 4 years of experience based on the level of the role and the sector you would be working in. and manager, also a master's degree and at least 4+ years of experience. The finance and operations team is a little bit more job specific, as it depends on the role in human resources, or as Hannah and I are administrative associates. And this is not an exhaustive list of roles. These are just commonly recruited for. You can find all our open roles on our website, which will be in the next slide. Oh, these are internships in the JPAL network. We do not have a formal internship program, but we occasionally post for interns during both the summer and the school year. So definitely check our careers page, and the Global Policy Group is hiring an intern for next summer. So definitely apply to that position if you're interested. Many of the field-based internship positions require some experience in developing countries and a willingness to work internationally, as many of our field-based positions are not in the U.S. And for our U.S.-based positions, we would require some public policy experience, and that would be located at our Cambridge office at MIT. So how to apply? Our annual recruitment drive is in full swing. It started in November, and we will be recruiting until mid-January. I think many of the positions are going to start reviewing applications around January 12th. So definitely try to get your applications in before that period. You can apply to our general research associate recruitment drive postings, and these would require a statement of purpose or a cover letter, a resume or CV, transcripts, and at least 2 letters of recommendation. And for these positions, shortlisted candidates will usually be contacted directly by the primary investigator on a research project or someone working closely with that PI, and they will typically be asked to take a STATA test. And we recommend that the recommendation letters are written by either professors or employers, and possibly one of each. And we have several open general RA positions that differentiate between the field-based positions and the office-based positions. So definitely take a look at those, and that wouldn't just be within JPAL, it's also open to our affiliates who are looking for people to support them on particular projects. For policy positions, shortlisted candidates will be asked to take a policy writing test to demonstrate your ability of randomized evaluations, your writing skills, and ability to synthesize technical material into simple language. And based on the test, you may be called into the global office for interviews with the policy group. And all those details should be on the instructions and requirements for each job posting on the careers page with that link above on the top of the slide. And definitely apply to as many positions as you'd like if you are interested. So we are often hiring on a rolling basis while the annual recruitment drive lines up for the hiring timeline for many roles, such as the ones I was just talking about. We post jobs often throughout the year, and applications for these are accepted on an ongoing basis. And definitely check the application instructions for each job description, and you are welcome to email jobs@povertyactionlab.org. If you have any questions, I respond to those emails, and I'm happy to help. And many of our positions are also open on our own common application site, which includes jobs from JPAL and our partner organization, Innovations for Poverty Action, also known as IPA, as well as some other partner organizations that post mainly research positions.
on this common application. However, not all our job postings apply through the common application, so definitely check out the careers page, as that will list any of the details on where to apply for the particular role. And I will hand it back to Hannah.
So this is Hannah again. As Giovanna was just discussing, here's a slide that shows you our various partners. So definitely worth checking out our site to have the jobs that we have posted, but as well you will see jobs posted from all of our various partner organizations as well. So our website really is a great place to get a wide range of different jobs that are open and that you could consider applying to. And then also, if you would like to just learn more about JPAL in general, we have some really great resources on our website, evaluation summaries, policy insights, lots of publications to check out their research resources. And as well, you could consider reading our director's book, Poor Economics. So this really gives you insight into the philosophy behind JPAL strategies for poverty alleviation and really kind of where JPAL has grown from. And then additionally, we do have a fair amount of social media, which is a great way to stay in touch with us. So we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, on LinkedIn. We do send out a monthly newsletter as well. And so on that sign-up screen we shared at the beginning, when you sign up there, that's one way that you can get connected to our newsletter if you wanted to monthly just hear about the exciting things going on in our network. And finally, if you have questions, you can contact jobs@povertyactionlab.org. As Giovanna was speaking about, we have colleagues who respond to that email address and follow up, answer questions there. You can also check out our careers page, which, as I said, has the jobs posted, but also frequently asked questions. So if you think this might be a question that many people have, try checking out that first.
So we did have a question in the chat, and I will read it out loud. So it says, what language skills are you looking for in field RA applications? And I'm happy to actually answer as well as read the question. So field RA positions can be all over the world, so the language requirements can actually vary. You'll see some job postings for field RA positions on our website that will specify certain languages, but not all of them do. So I would say that if you have specific language skills, please do make sure that your application highlights those and that they're included either in your CV resume, certainly, and in some instances you're actually even able to get them. For example, in the Common App, you can check off what languages you have.
Yeah, I would definitely include any languages that you have, even local languages, like for our India office. Our main office is in Delhi and Chennai, but we also have multiple field offices in other states where we're working with the population who's speaking the local language of that state. So also knowing that is helpful, for example.
I would also add that programming languages probably are also a good idea.
Oh, yeah.
Any and all languages, welcome.
So we have one question from Rissa. Are there any specific resources you recommend to practice translating RCT evidence into policy reports? That is a great question, and that is, in essence, what's at the heart of JPAL's policy team. One good go-to resource or thing that I would recommend is just going into our website and looking at our evaluation summaries. And those are the summaries that we do regularly at the policy team, where we synthesize findings from one specific result into a couple of pages. And in those evaluation summaries, you can access a link to the academic paper itself, and then you can kind of see how we went from that academic paper into a synthesis. And that's really a lot of what we do at the policy team, is do exactly those types of synthesis. So in terms of practicing as to how to translate that evidence, it's just kind of going through like a personal exercise of, can I understand what is happening in this paper, and how to succinctly then interpret those findings into a short and easy to understand policy brief, such as those evaluation summaries on the website.
Okay, so a question that's come in is, does JPAL sponsor visas for international students, or can they work under OPT? Great question. So here at MIT, we are unable to sponsor visas. So that is relevant for our global office and also for our office in North America. But our different university sponsors around the world actually have different to sponsor. So we do recommend, if you're interested in working at JPAL, that there's options in other regional offices as well. In the case of OPT, we can, though, hire individuals who have OPT here. JPAL Global, JPAL North America also has the ability to do that. So if you do have OPT, we do encourage you to apply.
Yeah, we definitely encourage you to apply, and of course, it will be position-specific and role-specific. Some OPTs, have a STEM 3-year kind of work authorization. Others are only valid for 1 year. So it really would depend on whether or not the position that you're applying to can accommodate you only being working for 1 year or not.
Next, we have a question on resources for individuals lacking formal experience in STATA or R. So I can answer this question. So we actually have a MicroMasters course that uses R extensively, and as I mentioned earlier, the course is free, and there are several tutorials within that course, which is like programming basics, but you can also look to like other free online courses. I would say it's easier to find R, like courses that teach R online, just because it is a platform and STATA requires a license. At JPAL, though, we don't really it's not required to know both STATA and R. One or the other is fine, I believe, for most.
And if anyone has any more questions in the future, you can always feel free to reach out back to us at jobs@povertyactionworks.org. Great. Okay.
Thank you.
We want to thank everyone for attending. I know it's difficult when you can't see us or anything, but please do feel free to reach out if you have any other questions. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.